All right, so another project. This one's a countertop, Innov8 Coatings. Again, what happened in this kitchen or on this project is previous contractors came in, poured the counter, turned out horrible. They told the homeowner they wanted to do it again for, came in, poured even thinner, turned out even worse. And so she got a hold of Brian, and Brian hooked her up, gave her a really good deal because he felt bad for her. Obviously, she paid good money for these counters. People came in, didn't know what they were doing. Screwed him up, and so he told her he'd come out and help her. Brian's already prepped this, so he sanded 80 grit. Remember, when you're coating over existing epoxy surfaces, you can sand as heavy as you want. You're just trying to scuff up that surface so it's a porous surface so the resins can soak in and we get a mechanical bond. And so that's what he did. 60 grit sandpaper, sanded the tops, faces, rounded the corners, and bondoed. There was like a chip here that they didn't even like fill. They just coated it. And so we filled that. You can see how big that chip was. They didn't even fill that. Sanded it, bondoed it. There's another spot back here. They filled, taped the sink, and then he went around and paintable latex caulking. Because what that does is you're never gonna get a seal on a sink edge, especially when it's like 1/2 inch MDF or even plywood. It's just not a smooth surface. You're gonna get runs and drips and stuff. So what we do is we take paintable latex caulking, put it on there, smooth it off. Once that tacks up and dries, that's gonna eliminate, that tape breaking the seal and losing resin down there. We do that all the time, works freaking great. So we're pretty much ready to go. Everything's plastic, taped off, sanded, cleaned. So I'm gonna mix this up and we'll just get going. But yeah, it's gonna be one of the simplest counters you can do is a solid color base coat and then a Leggari effects color.
All right, guys, day 2. We came back, we let this tack up pretty good. Waited about, 12, 14 hours. Sanded everything, sanded all the drips. You gotta be careful with the sander. I used a multi-tool and got underneath here. That way I didn't hit the cabinets in some of these tight areas. So sanded everything, used a 220 grit palm sander. We sanded the surface, got any sediment that might have fell in it overnight, which this was really clean, but I always like to sand anyways. It just makes them turn out so much better. Especially we are doing matte on this. So if for some reason the roller missed a little spot, or if it like normally you might see a little stipple with the roller, that will hide really good since we sanded it by going over it with matte. We're ready to mix the top coat. Like I said, this is matte. It's 3-to-1, and typically what we've been doing is adding 20% water to that instead of the 10. It just seems like it flows out a lot better. So measuring container, de-shedded my roller. Yeah, we're gonna get after it.